Barbecue Church. I'm in the basement, man. Hope y'all are good. The time I'm recording this, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. All that great stuff. Man, I smoked two briskets. I did one for a homie. It's kind of funny. It's just a random dude that we're friends on Facebook. He posted anybody in the South Side that can smoke a brisket for me. I'm like, where you at? 30 minutes away. He pulled up, slammed a brisket down. So I trimmed that up, seasoned it up, bing bong. I smoked him a brisket, smoked us a brisket. I think his was like 17 pounds. Ours was like 22. Slang those things. Now, I wasn't real happy with the way they came out. They're still briskets, but, here's the thing. I'm smoking on Big Lucille, my new smoker, right? And I learned a lot in this process. So I have another brisket to do in 2 weeks. So I'm gonna mess with that. Like, I'm gonna do a whole different deal because I found that you can't treat Big Lucille like any other smoker. She's just different. She's just different. She's quarter-inch thick steel, so she smokes, but she's more like an oven, so she retains temp really well and just powers brisket. So anyway, that's what I'm on. We had a smoked ham, we had a smoked turkey, and then we had Polish sausage because Josh is Polish. So we had everything, man. It was wild out there. And what are y'all eating? Like, do y'all mess with cranberries? I'll tell you this. I don't touch cranberry anything. I don't like cranberries. I don't like cranberry, like that gelatin stuff that people put out. Oh my gosh, man, that stuff is gross to me. Like, I mean, just straight up gross to me. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But that's me. Whatever you do is what you do. But I ain't really messing with all that. So shout out to everybody who watches. Shout out to the people who watch and never say anything. I'm starting to figure out who y'all are, but I appreciate y'all. I'm glad Facebook gave me some more privileges, which is nice because for a while they stripped me of some stuff. But anyway, so share this, like this. Please comment something, throw a fire or a steak emoji, just for the fun of it, just for your boy. Let's see. I posted about mistletoe. I'm like, listen, let's not do mistletoe in a normal way. If somebody stands under it, throw hands. That's what it is. Then I got a message from Brian Granger talking about where you at, because he was actually driving through Indiana. He's like, I'll pull up on you. So that's our relationship. So it is what it is. I think I'm faster than him, so I think I can run. Just being honest. Anyway, but here's what we got. Title of the sermon is remember it, write it down, take a picture. Extra points if you know where that's from. Text me. But here's the deal. Oftentimes we forget the things that God does in our lives. We'll pray for something, we'll believe for something, and then God will do it, or God will answer the prayer, and we just forget. Life happens, man. We're human, man. We keep pushing. There's things to do, so we just keep pushing. But we have to remember the things that God has done in our lives. We have to get to the point where we're remembering those things, where we're focused on those things. Because if we forget what God has done, the next time something hits, or the next time of trouble, the next time we're believing for something, you end up not having it. It's like you forget that God did it before, so he can do something else. You forget that, hey, he did this, he'll probably do it again. He'll probably do something new in our lives. Like, God came through. Even if it was in a way that we didn't expect, he still came through. We're still here. God's still moving. And so we end up forgetting. So we look at, in Joshua 4, right? They had just crossed the Jordan River. Now remember, the Red Sea thing had happened already. But these people that are coming through the Jordan, they weren't there. These are all their kids and grandkids. You see what I'm saying? So they weren't there. They didn't see all that. So now we're at this point where they cross over the Jordan, and this is where the Ark of the Covenant, they took it into the center of the water, right? They came in, the water stops flowing, and it just boom. So they cross over. And in Joshua 4, read it. Go check it out, right? It says, then Joshua said to the Israelites, in the future your children will ask, what do these stones mean? Then you will tell them, this is where the Israelites crossed the Jordan on dry ground. So he said, hey, yo, let's put down some stones. Put down 12 stones. And this is going to be a remembrance. This is going to be like a memorial where we remember what God did. And when the kids ask, they'll be like, hey, yo, why we got these stones over there? It's like, listen, here's what God did in this moment. This is what God did right here. And so God knows that we drift. God knows that we're forgetful. We're going to keep it pushing. But if you forget something, you will begin to fear something later. All right. So they weren't there for decoration. They were there. They were there for discipline. You know, your life has stones so but at times we just stop noticing. So what we have to do is we have to remind ourselves of what God has done for us in the past. Get a journal. You know, we have to remember, if you got to get real stones out and put them in a little box on the kitchen table or something, just to remember, you write something down. Let's begin to mark down the things that we prayed for and the answers that God has done. The small things, the big things. All right. So the stones become your stories. In Habakkuk, that's crazy, right? Habakkuk 2. It says, then the Lord said to me, write my answers plainly on tablets so a runner can carry the correct message to others. Okay, so the word that's in there, it says make clear or unmistakable. You know, your memory leaks under pressure. Whenever the pressure hits, you forget. You're not worried about anything but what's ahead of you and what's going on. So when you write these things down, it locks the miracle in place. You know, written testimonies become tomorrow's courage. You can go back to it, get a little journal, write down some stuff. You know, it ain't like a diary, it's not that. It's just remembering things that have happened, remembering what God has done. You know, keep a note. Here's what God did in my life. Here's what God did this month. Here's what God did this week. Take the time to write that stuff out. You know, you notice that in almost every Facebook post that I do, 99% of them, I say, y'all be safe, praise God. I'm always, if people yell at me when I'm in these streets, I'm like, oh, well, praise God. Like, I want to keep it a habit to praise God and remember God in everything. And just, praise God. Because that's who I am, and I need to continuously remember who God is, what he's doing in my life. So you write it down, and write down your praise God moments, because you can you revisit those victories when fear hits you. You go back and say, hold on, man, well, God did this, God did that, God gave me money for this, God made sure that this happened, God came through, God answered this prayer, God healed this, God did that. You know, and I just give God credit for stuff. You know, because we want to throw shade at God for other things. You know, no, I give God credit. I just do. So, and visual faith reminds your heart of where you need to stand. Deuteronomy 6:12. Be careful not to forget the Lord who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. Don't ignore, you have to treat it, don't treat it as if it never happened. You know, pictures freeze the emotions that normally blur. So, man, sometimes you gotta just take a picture. So sometimes you gotta take a picture. Like when we look at our wedding, it's like, look at your wedding pictures. Oh my gosh, like this was such a great moment. And you remember what you felt in that moment. When you take pictures on vacation, you remember that moment. When you take pictures with the homies, you take the selfie with the homies. It's like, oh man, I remember this moment. You know, take pictures of those moments. Take videos of those moments where God did something. And you begin to tell the story. Here's what God did in this moment. You know, you screenshot breakthroughs. I do it all the time. I have crazy screenshots in my phone of messages that I've gotten from some of y'all and some of the text messages or Facebook messages that have been sent. I have Facebook messages and stuff that I screenshot from former youth. I was just chatting with a youth from gosh, Mari is 12. So yeah, it was 13 years ago. And reminding them of something that God had done because I had it on video. So, and talking about how God healed her of some brain cancer, which is a big deal. She's still here, got kids now, So, write it down, take a picture, remember it. All right. So here's what we need to do. Israel marked stones not because it was cute, but because the battles were loud and the memories fade fast. So stack your stones, write your stories, and take your picture, and let your life preach to the future, reminding people that here's what God did. He did it then. He'll do it again. So whatever you're praying for, let's write it down. Whatever you're believing for, let's write it down. Go back through and think through, hey, here's what God did. God got me out of the situation. I remember there was a time, when I really think back to what happened in my life and, some things like some wild stuff that had happened, like with jobs and all that and things not coming through. Now I realize that it was God's protection. It was God really moving me along in my journey to make sure that I had the things that I needed. In the moment, you ain't feeling like that. But it's who God is now, and it's what God's shown us. So, big stuff. God does it. It's dope. And I love it. So, if you don't have a relationship with God, get one. If you want one simple prayer, it's, praying and saying that, you believe Jesus is who he said he was, that Jesus was God, that he died, came back to bridge the gap between us and God, and that you accept that. You accept his sacrifice for us. And you want Jesus to be a part of your life. You want a relationship with God. You ask him to come into your life and change who you are. So that's where we're at. I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday time. These holiday seasons can always get weird. It's always when our minds start to battle. We start to remember the things that we lost. We remember the people that aren't here. We remember things in the past that it's become a habit for us not to actually like holidays because of things that have happened in our past, and we don't even realize why it is anymore. Let's have a great holiday season. Let's push through the pain, through the depression that can happen in this season because it gets wild. Let's focus in. Let's keep our hearts in the right place, and let's do what we need to do for our kids, for the people that are around us, for the people that are watching, for the people that just need to see something great. Let's be encouraging to the people around us at all times and the people we may encounter in this crazy season, because there's things that God may want to do in some other people's lives. So I'm out. We got like 10 inches of snow on the ground. That's why I'm not outside. I ain't afraid to be outside, but I ain't trying to preach outside. Stand outside. I've been preaching for 13 minutes, dog. Ain't nobody trying to stand outside for no 13 minutes in this. Feel like it's 11 degrees out with 10 inches of snow. I'm good, B. So, y'all be safe. Praise God. Appreciate y'all. Gang, gang.